Hi everybody, this is Julia from abbasheart.net with part 4 of my testimony. So I stepped off the plane in Louisiana. I could feel that the atmosphere was just thick. It was thick with moisture and heat and anticipation. I was so excited to just be out of Chicago and in a new atmosphere where I can just forget about my problems. I was exhausted, trying to do right by everybody and feeling like no one seemed to care in return. And what I told myself was I just needed to relax and discover who I was and what I truly wanted. And this was a perfect opportunity for me to just let go and see where life took me if I just relaxed a little bit. So our first stop on the agenda was a 5-course meal at the most exclusive restaurant in the French Quarter. I'd never been to a place this fancy, so I was really intimidated. We walked through the door and everyone just kind of stopped and stared at us and all these attendants were waiting for us and like we were celebrities, and we were rushed back to this private room. And the waiter seated us and asked everybody what wine we'd prefer, and I just said, I'll take water, please, like I always do. And I remember the expressions of everyone around me was of disappointment. And I thought, there I go again, disappointing everybody, being the good girl. Nobody really likes the good girl. So I took a deep breath and said, actually, I'll have what she's having. And I pointed to the model that was sitting next to me. Somebody inside our group said, that's the spirit, and everybody exploded in applause. I felt like they were serving me my drug of choice, which was approval. This is the first time I've had alcohol, I said to the model next to me, and she's like, well, then be careful, just have one drink. After months of monitoring every calorie that touched my lips, the dinner was better than I imagined. The room started looking fuzzy and I was feeling all warm and giggly. And I remember taking a sip of wine thinking, now this is what has been missing in my life. For the first time ever, I did not have one care. The sorrow and the weight of my life just wasn't on my mind anymore. Nothing was. I was actually smiling and having fun. And I looked around the table of these beautiful people toasting to our collective success, and I just knew I was moving towards a better life. This wasn't a distant dream anymore. This was actually happening in real time. And it was such a lovely moment for me. I did not want that to end. But we had work to do that night. We had a bunch of appearances at different bars and nightclubs. We were signing autographs and doing that kind of thing. So our group was beginning to move towards the door and out to the street. And my legs were really heavy and I was moving really slow and trailing behind them. But like I said, I just didn't care. So I thought, why run around? Slowing down feels good. I'm just gonna go at my own pace. I hear, hey, you want some? I turn around and this stranger is steadying my elbow, handing me a joint. But then I reminded myself, what has being the good girl ever done for you? You're here to have fun. You're here to enjoy the moment. Just relax. So I said, why not? And he laughed and he was like, those are the 2 best words in the American language. I didn't know what I was doing, but I sucked the air deep into my lungs and just coughed like crazy as I handed the joint back to him. Julia, we've been looking for you. My Playboy friends had found me and they were just eyeing the man I was talking to and kind of pulling me away from him. And I was like, whoops, bye, thanks. The next thing I remember is being carried by one of the security guards that Playboy hired. I couldn't walk, I couldn't dance, I couldn't even talk. I was just I just have flashes from that night, just flashes of, being put on different couches and music and being carried from one place to another. And the next morning I wake up in the hotel room. I don't know how I got there, but I wake up in the hotel room and a stylist stops by and they pick me up to take me to the shoot. When I arrive on set, it looked like a dream. There was this gorgeous vanity table set in the middle of an abandoned hotel in the French Quarter. And the stylist, she laid me down as she applied my makeup because I just kept nodding and falling asleep. My body was just still limp and wobbly, and it was really hard for me to stay awake. When the photographer was ready to shoot, they propped me up in the vanity chair. And as I looked at my reflection, I remembered sweet Ibis and watching her put on makeup and thinking that she was so beautiful and wanting to be just like her. But no matter how much makeup these people were putting on me, I felt so ugly and empty. They handed me an ostrich feather fluff dipped in Kama Sutra honey powder and instructed me to place it on my neck. And as the powder hit the air, I could taste the sweetness on my open lips. And then I hit the floor. Everybody rushed around, giving me water, fanning me, and I just saw fear in my photographer friend's eyes as he waved over his assistant. They carried me down the stairs, placing me into a rental car. And I remember the car racing down the street as they were trying to navigate to a location nobody had been to before. And they were whispering amongst themselves, and they weren't looking at me. And I just kept asking, where are we? Where are we going? And nobody would answer me. Nobody would look me in the eye. And I began to panic. Tears were just melting my makeup. And nobody was answering me. And I was like, please, somebody look at me. Somebody tell me what's going on. We drove up to a building, and it was like an old building with really small windows and green tile. It was very outdated. And a nurse comes up to us and says, dear, just settle down. We cannot tell you anything until you sign this paperwork. So just sign this and then you'll get your questions answered. And I didn't even ask what I was signing. I just wanted somebody to talk to me, because the people that I knew, all the expressions on their faces was just, they were scaring me. So I signed the paperwork. And as soon as I signed this paperwork, everybody from Playboy turned around and just left the building. My work friends were gone. And I just stood there in the hallway alone with this nurse. And she says to me, you're gonna be here for a while. Change into these clothes and get comfortable. And she hands me a pair of hospital pajamas and a little cup with a pill in it and a glass of water. By her expression, I knew not to ask any questions, and I just did what she told me to do.